Today, you join me a few days prior to the mission. And mission preparedness is kind of a nerdy hobby I suffer from. I don't know if I suffer from it, but I certainly think about it a lot. Too much. What would you call that? An obsession. Choosing the right gear and realizing I have to capture an event or what make me kind of train with 12 kilos of weight on my back. But anyway, the long and the short of it is I want to bring everything. However, your better judgment seems to be this weird fish that comes and goes depending on the time of day. At night I have fears, and in the morning I have confidence. Anyway, you should be seeing right now a photograph of a previous effort, which was Tubacol. Up in the top right hand corner you can see a Pentax camera that I brought. I brought a stills camera to the top of Tubacol with, I think I had like 6 AA batteries as backup, 6 or 8 AA batteries. I brought these batteries to the top and never used them. And those things play on my mind, you know. It's like, what do I need? What do I need? So forgive me as I digress back to previous efforts in order to explain where my mind is. You know, I've been very lucky in the last few years to do some mind-blowing missions. The most noteworthy being the hike up Tubacol in Africa with the Vartry team, another fundraising event. I think my friend Alan Kavanagh said, this is a once in a lifetime experience, and it probably is once in a lifetime experience to do Tubacol in Africa. I'm almost glad I only had a few weeks to prepare for it. You know, I think I had 2 or 3 weeks to prepare for it. Anyway, when it comes to gear, I've always opted for less food and more batteries. Where people have a Snickers bar, I have batteries to keep them warm. Or I know on Tubacol, that certainly is a memory for me. I didn't bring food. I brought GoPro batteries. You know, one memory comes to mind near the summit of Tubacol. With the low oxygen, it's probably half the height of Everest. It is half the height of Everest at Tubacol, and you still feel this low oxygen. The ground seems like it's spinning. We left the base camp, which is about 1,000 meters below the summit, at 4 in the morning, and you could see this moonlight behind us, and everyone was. We stopped in the moonlight and everyone was digging into food supplies. I remember my toes stinging from the cold. And I was thinking, well, if they're stinging, then I can still feel them. And if I can still feel them, then I don't have frostbite. And what was happening was the crampons were conducting the cold into my boots. I didn't really have a budget for doing this event. I think I could pay for the flights and the hotel, and that was it. So I was climbing with fingerless gloves, a simple raincoat, and I think I had a down jacket. And there we were, 8 of us, struggling for the summit. You could just make out through the shadows and head torches, people having snacks. Snickers, you name it. I didn't want to say anything, but I mentioned my feet were frozen, and out of the darkness came a pair of socks, and with them the words, "No, I insist." Then out of the darkness, a half-eaten Snickers bar was quite literally shoved into my mouth. And I didn't even really know these people very well, yet their kindness in that moment really showed me what human nature is about. So I got that Snickers, and I know Alan carried water for me. You know, Tubacol is one of the toughest, it is probably the toughest climb I ever did. I love knowing where my limits are. It shows me as I'm getting old. And I'm no spring chicken at the moment. I want to have hips in a few years' time, and knees too. And a knee will tell you when you're doing stupid things. It says stuff like, go on out of that. The same with shoulders. They'll simply say no. So there's this fine line these days between madness or mindfulness. And I've spent the last week trying to find a balance between safety and speed. And that balance tends to just cut everything out. It just gets ruthless and says no. Water's the priority, then cameras. I have to be as light as possible. this thing I'm going to do is like doing the largest hill in Wicklow and then getting back to your car and then doing the largest hill in Kerry, one after the other in one day. And I still think there's about 200 more meters. So I kind of remember all these different events, these big events. I really want to do these big things, you know, before I die, before I get too old. I want to do a few of these big things. And I wish I had spent some of my youth doing them, but I guess these are kind of like my midlife crisis. I don't think they're a midlife crisis, but there's certainly something unusual about them. There's a YouTuber called Age's Adventures who recently asked me to detail out the items I intended to do this walk with. And so this film is about that. It's about, answering questions to some degree that I think people like Age's Adventures and other people want to know. Documenting the process of adventure videography. And it omits all the countless times I've packed and repacked my bag. So it seems simple what we've come to now. It's really kind of embarrassing. I won't go through the soldering efforts to revive my jukebox, but they've all been part of this, and that is what I love about a challenge. It's truly my favourite hobby of all. So thanks for watching my videos. I suppose putting up with some of the stuff I've been doing recently, the training. I know it's not really good filmmaking, but it's kind of part of the process for me and part of documenting it. Because I think people who want to do this, they need to know it's not easy, or maybe some part of this will inspire somebody else into their own mission. So thanks for watching it, and sorry for taking up all your time, and yeah, that's it. So all we've got now is 2 days time. We've got some other advanced packing to do. I don't know if there's any other stuff, any other videos I can make, but between now and then I don't think there are. So here we go.